thanks very much for coming. My name's Ben Lilly, handle sales and technical support at ATC in the UK. And here today presenting the new ATC EL50 anniversary. This is a new flagship model in the 50 size, if you like. So if you know our products, you know that they're increasing number, increasing speaker size. The 50 model is our longest running product. So the SCM50 model has been in continuous production since '88, in active form since 1989. And the EL50 anniversary, if you like, is the latest statement in this speaker size, using the 9-inch bass driver and 50-litre enclosure. So the major changes and improvements we made with the EL50 anniversary, first of all, probably the most obvious is the cabinet design. So we've moved away from a conventional rectangular cabinet, and we're forming this elliptical cabinet, something we're doing in-house. And this is a design inspired by a product we released about 15 years ago, the EL150. So the EL150 was the first model we used with the elliptical cabinet shape. And the curved form has got a number of advantages in terms of how the radiation from the cabinet is emitted. So by removing the sharp cabinet edges, we reduce cabinet diffraction, and we get a smoother on and off axis response. But as the sound spreads across the front of the speaker, any sharp change from a sharp cabinet edge into the room, you get re-radiation from that edge. So by having a smooth transition, we smooth the transition of the sound from the cabinet into the room, get a smoother on and off axis response, much better imaging. This curved form is achieved by a lamination process, so lots of layers laid up under a vacuum bag process, and that also gives us greater strength and stiffness and reduces the cabinet coloration. So both of those things together mean that the cabinet has much less impact on the sound from a conventional box design.
What is it that reduces the coloration besides the elliptical cabinet size?
The strength and stiffness from the laminated construction.
Okay.
So we've got lots of layers. It's essentially a plywood cabinet formed under vacuum. So you've got layers of 1.5mm layer ply layers with glue in between, and then it's vacuumed down over a former, heated and left to set. And so by forming this shape, rather than machining it, we end up with a stronger, more rigid and better damped structure.
It's very stiff.
Yeah.
So tell us about the back wave handling for all those drivers.
Sorry, how do you mean?
Do they each have their own enclosure?
Well, the bass driver sees the full volume.
Yep.
The mid-range and the high-frequency device are sealed parts, so that they don't have their own chamber because they don't need it.
Okay, good.
And then the bass driver is loaded in 50 litres, a 50-litre vented design, and it's slightly larger cabinet volume, so it's the vented design that gives us the best timing, best impulse response.
That's not a labyrinth.
It's not a labyrinth, no. Yeah, conventional vented design.
Yes. Okay.
So the bass is vented?
Yeah, vented or ported, depending on which is your favourite terminology.
Side of the bond you're on.
Yeah.
And it's front.
I had a
and
question
it's front
about-
ported.
Yeah, front ported, correct, yeah.
So how close could these be in the worst case scenario to the wall?
I mean, any speaker, front ported, rear ported, sealed, is gonna, as you put them closer to the room boundary,
Yeah.
it's gonna push the frequency where you get the positive gain kicking in. So, as with any speaker, you put it closer to the wall, there's gonna be a bit more bass. I mean, I struggle to give a hard and fast rule because geometry of the room, the construction, if you're in a brick or a stone building, they're much less forgiving. If you've got like a classic kind of US timber framed house, they're pretty forgiving. And probably one of the reasons actually why American speakers tend to be a little bit hotter in the bass, because if you're auditioning them in those timber frame constructions, they're quite forgiving. You take those to a little stone cottage in the UK and they just swamp you with low end.
Yeah, what's the port tuned to?
28.
Yeah.
Yeah, to drive a
Omni
resonance.
there anyways.
Driver resonance. Yeah, we always tune to driver resonance, and what we're trying to achieve with the venting actually is to control the driver motion. We're not chasing extension with it. We get some benefit from the bass extension from the port, but first and foremost is to control the driver motion, because where the port is radiating at its maximum at first, the bass driver is not moving, the bass driver's not moving, any non-linearities to do with BL modulation, stretching the the compliance modulation of the bass driver, they're minimised. So you can actually use it to reduce the distortion in the bass.
Oh, okay, yeah, because one of my friends is.
You might need to go through that one again a few times.
No, I understood every word. No,
Yeah.
I'm just figuring which reviews I'm canceling so I can read these before.
Yeah, because one of my friends is a designer, and he was talking about, he really likes the ATC SEM40s because they're sealed, and
Yeah.
he liked that, having the sealed bass versus the vented.
Yeah,
So-
sealed's great, and we've left. I mean, the 40 could be implemented as a vented design as well. I think it's because it's more affordable. We just favoured that simpler construction, and I would say I was possibly the 40 could be more popular in the US as a vented implementation. I think for those reasons I said earlier about the typical constructions here. Whereas in the UK, we do brilliantly with the 40s because it's like a big three-way sound and it works in a smaller room. Yeah, this closed box typically rolls off a little bit earlier, a little bit slower. Average living room size in the UK usually got a bit too much energy in the sort of 180, 90, 100 hertz region, and that's where vented 40, for instance, versus a sealed 40, the vented one's going to have a little bit less energy there, so it makes them easy to hone. And then the sealed box is better lower down, because the vented rolls off faster, sealed rolls off slower. So it's just trade-offs.
Excuse me, vented versus sealed. You guys are known for your excellent transient response and temporal response.
Yeah.
I assume this being the finish and whatnot is more, it being a consumer product, let's put it that way, it's less concerned with that temporal.
We don't make
aspect.
any decisions on performance based on pro versus consumer.
Oh, good.
We believe in just building a high performance loudspeaker. It's then packaged in furniture, for want of a better
Sure.
description.
No, totally,
that
yes.
suits a home or it suits the studio.
Yes.
But component wise, there is no different philosophy. There's no different voicing. We actually cross over between the two to make sure there is consistency, and the
Oh, good.
consistency of the entire product range is really important to us.
Good.
So we actually don't want them to sound any different.
AB amplification?
Yeah. So I'll go on to the amplifier now actually, because that's the other area where there's been the biggest amount of development and a number of changes from this product from the SE, the top level SE series before. So starting with the previous generation anniversary amplifier, we basically started afresh. We've got a new discrete surface mount op amp, and that's the building block of the line level stage. So we've just put a new surface mount line in at the factory.
It's your own
It's our own
silicon?
line. Yeah, not our own silicon, no, our own surface mount assembly line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not our own silicon, we haven't quite gone that far.
That would be pretty fancy.
Yeah. So, business isn't quite that good. And on the line level stage, I'm not sure there would be any advantage actually. The parts are available to do what we need. Maybe there could be custom silicon for an output stage. That could be interesting, but I think on the line level stage, there's no need to invest in the custom silicon. But no, going over to surface mount, obviously we can get the form factor, the space for each discrete op amp right down. So we've got a new layout, re-optimized for the surface mount components, new balanced input, instrumentation input with reduced noise. And then the other advantage of going surface mount was the previous design, the discrete op amps take up, they're physically, each one's probably about 2 by 2, 3 by 3 inches. Fourth order filters with the through hole discrete op amp it's just too bulky. So here, with everything coming down in size, we've gone to fourth order filters with the benefit of less overlap between the drivers, so the off axis and the vertical plane's better. And also reduces the distortion at the bottom end of the mid-range and the tweeter, because the steeper filters mean there's less low frequency energy getting to those drivers.
Nice. Thanks.
And then going all the way through to the output stages, it's our classic MOSFET AB design, 200 watts on the base, 100 on the mid, 50 on the tweeter. But the big change we've made with this design is previously we had a single large transformer with multiple secondary windings for the 3 amplifiers and the 12 volt stage. Here we've gone to fully independent supplies. So we've got 4 transformers in here, one for the bass, one for the mid, one for the high, and one for the 12 volt supply. And that gives us the benefit of a bit more headroom when we're really working the speakers at their hardest, and slight reduction in the intermodulation because we haven't got single shared core for the power supplies. Again, you usually realise when the speakers, working with really hard and with really dynamic material.
Shall we play something?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Our bodies are hurting like hell. They promise to never leave us alone. Our hearts are breaking like bones.
Played it hundreds of times.
Siri, what's the song?
That's it.
By who?
Yeah.
By that?
They're picking stars like apples from the sky, threatening to throw them in the sea. So we won't have anything to gaze upon.
Oh, sorry. Yes, it is. You gotta kill it.
What happened to liberty and the bridges we almost got done? What happened to that? What's going to take us home? Dreams are breaking like glass. But faith is hard like stone. Sometimes so hard to see. When I lay down and forget this, you need to be telling me. What happened to liberty and the bridges we almost got done? What happened to that? What's going to take us home? What happened to liberty and the bridges we almost got done? What happened to that? What's going to take us home?